Hello people, Scottish Nutjob here, and I'm going to review the remastered next-gen version of Grand Theft Auto 5. So let's get right into it. In 2013, Grand Theft Auto 5 was released on both the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 to universal acclaim from both critics and gamers alike. The game, however, did receive mass controversy, which is not unusual for the series. In this edition to the much-loved franchise, we're introduced to San Andreas, the large open world that Rockstar has ever created. In this vast open world there's so much to do, whether that's exploring the large city of Los Santos, or exploring the hillbilly countryside of Blaine County, or hunting elk and mountain lions of the mountain area, or even going scuba diving in the surrounding sea, where you can explore shipwrecks, UFO crash sites, or even fight with sharks. It is definitely the most ambitious open world map that Rockstar has ever created. There's so much content in this open world, gamers are guaranteed not to get bored. If you want to arm wrestle, it's here. If you want to play tennis or golf, it's here. If you want to go to a strip club or movie theatre, that's there. And even if you want to go ghost hunting, there's even a ghost that stalks and roams the mountainsides. Now the main story of the campaign follows three different and unique characters. Michael, an ex-bank robber living in witness protection who struggles to maintain his highly dysfunctional family. Then there's Franklin, a small-time street hustler whose ambitions are far too big for what's on offer around him. Then there's Trevor, a severe psychopath who's both menacing and amusing at the same time. Trevor has quickly become an iconic character of modern gaming, and he will probably go on to be one of the most remembered and talked about characters of gaming in this generation. The story follows the trio, who are at first all forced to work together by corrupt government officials, or by doing their own jobs on the side, which mainly involve robbing banks and jewellery stores. Even though the game was marketed as a bank robbing game, there's hardly any of that in here, but the story itself is involving, but it does have its flaws. One mission that sticks out in my head is also the most controversial, and that mission involves Trevor torturing someone for information on behalf of the US government. The mission is both brutal to watch and to play, and reminds us that Rockstar North is next to none in the genre of satirical comedy. But in one mission I was driving a crane, in another mission I was doing yoga, and in another mission I was hunting elk in the mountains, which kind of took me out of the story and all of the side missions. And even though the side missions are entertaining, they do take out the story a lot. The story isn't memorable or groundbreaking or original, but the characters and the world of which they roam are. So the game has now been released for the Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and very shortly the PC. So what's the difference? Well, the gameplay is much smoother and the graphics have been upscaled slightly. This new version has much more fluent gameplay mechanics, such as driving, running, walking, and even combat, and now you can do all this whilst in first person, which works and runs as smooth as you could possibly want it to. It has some flaws if you're playing it on a PlayStation 4, however, as the touchpad is a little too sensitive, so you may find yourself accidentally switching weapons a lot as you push the analog sticks up. The resolution is now at 1080p, which stays at 1080p at all times, and that is due to its very low frame rate, which stays at 30 frames per second. But I personally have noticed that dropping at times. Certain new mechanics, such as first person mode, denser and busier traffic, more pedestrians, add more depth, and make the game feel like a completely new experience. But the traffic can be a little frustrating at times, especially when you're trying to escape from the police or get away from a bank robbery. and the police have become more of a nuisance than anything else. But that's just a minor gripe. In total, the single player experience is great, and I have no regrets buying the game just for that. And they have done a great job with remastering the single player experience. Now anyway, let's talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, which acts like its own game. And first things first, I'm going to talk about the problems and the bugs and glitches and the bad side of it. It has all the same mechanics of the single player, with just a slight reduction in graphics, which I've noticed. I'm sure when the PC version comes out, it'll be able to run twice the resolution and twice or even higher the frames per second. But every so often the frame rate drops to about 20 frames per second, which can be very annoying, but not annoying enough to throw the game out your window. But if you have purchased the game and tried to play GTA Online since its launch, you'll find that there are many issues, such as trying to join friends or randomly being thrown back into single player, which can be very frustrating. But Rockstar has resolved, and they're continuing to resolve all these issues with each update they release. The game is far from being perfected, and we probably won't have a complete working online, glitch-free online till next year. And like last gen's GTA Online, people are finding out more glitches and hacks to both further their own progress and to just basically piss off each other. Last night I saw a guy driving around the map blowing up players, but his car was totally invincible to gunfire and rocket attacks. Which leads me to another gripe people have, and that gripe is a reporting menu. You can report players for glitching, using bugs, or being verbally abusive. And that's a good idea to have in theory, but in reality, if you're playing against some 40-year-old virgin or some 14-year-old boy, which there are plenty of online, trust me, and they find losing to you is too much to take in, they can report you to Rockstar for doing something you didn't do, and Rockstar will punish you despite no evidence held against you. Which leads me to my final gripe, and that's a bad sports pool. The bad sports pool is a series of online servers where the hackers, glitchers, racists and all-round dickheads are sent for select periods of time. It's kind of like a prison, or even a better example, a much lamer version of Escape from New York. Here you can spend up to 24 hours of real time, in some cases even a full month, like me. I'm currently in a bad sports server for 30 days for blowing up other players' cars. Yes, in a game where Rockstar persuades you to murder prostitutes, they want you to massacre thousands of innocent people, slaughter the police, reenact terrorist attacks, and live out even the most sickest of psychopathic fantasies, you are not allowed to blow up other players' cars, which makes no fucking sense. And I hope someone from Rockstar watches this video and the other videos made on this issue and do something about it. I mean, seriously, the whole passive mode is there for players to drive around or roam the map without getting themselves killed or the vehicles blown up. And anyway, you already get punished for destroying other players' cars because you get charged money for doing so. So I don't understand why Rockstar feels that blowing up other players' vehicles, despite the fact that they can go in passive mode, is punishable by spending 30 days in a bad sports server. Another really frustrating aspect of online are the missions, which you can take by yourself or with friends, and you don't even get a lot of money for. Not even enough money to fill up your ammunition. Which makes me think maybe this game's just a pay to win, you know, you have to buy shark cards, I think they're called. But if Rockstar really used their thinking process, they'd have a no rules apply type server where players can go in and cause a lot of havoc, kill everyone and blow up cars without, you know, repercussions from Rockstar, and have Rockstar normal servers where players have to play by Rockstar rules. Why not do what the Battlefield series does, allow players to buy or rent their own servers where they can make their own rules? For example, if I rented my own server, I can choose what ranks can join it, I can kick whoever I want out if they're caught cheating, glitching, or just being abusive. I can disable traffic, I can disable civilian pedestrians, I can disable the police, I can disable tanks, jets and certain weapons, and the buzzard helicopter. I mean, that would be a very logical solution and step forward for Rockstar, which would have less gripes, which would, have less gripes for the game. But despite all the gripes I've talked about the online, I do love it. I've put just about as much hours into GTA Online on my PlayStation 3 than I did into the Battlefield series, which is my second most loved franchise next to Metal Gear Solid and Grand Theft Auto. But don't let my grapes scare you off though. I've spent some well spent hours on Grand Theft Auto Online with my friends creating our own little stories and adventures, and it's by far the most fun, creative fun I've had with an online multiplayer next to DayZ. And I'll continue to play this as long as I have it. You can have a lot of fun online, and I guarantee you'll never get bored as long as you have some good friends to roam around with. And you can even create your own customized team deathmatches, your own customized races, and other types of online fun. And if you're that kind of guy, you can all team up and play tennis or golf. Anyway, I decided to review Grand Theft Auto 5 without giving it a rating. In my opinion, a review should just be the speaker talking about the game's features, its content, story and graphics, and what players can expect, so they can make up their own minds. For instance, I personally hated a recently released game that got a lot of hype, and it's really well received and a lot of people loved it. But if one of those people who loved that game heard me talking about it and never bought it, just based on my opinion, they might miss out on a game that will blow their minds. Plus, taking away rating systems will reduce the chances of trolls hijacking my YouTube comments with fanboy rage and biased propaganda. But there's so much to do in Grand Theft Auto Online, whether it's taking over a server with force with your friends, causing havoc, fighting with other crews and other players on the map, or even trying to find that ghost that lives in the mountains at night. You'll not regret playing it. The game is totally worth buying again and has proven to be successful on every form. But if you agree or disagree on anything I said and want to discuss it with me, leave a comment and I'll discuss it with you. And don't forget to rate and subscribe and like if you liked it, that is. Well, anyway, this is Scottish Nutjob, and I'm going to get back to playing Grand Theft Auto Online because we were threatened by another crew, and now it's going to be a big warfare between us. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. Well, that's me away. Ta-ta.
Trevor, you're still banned.
What about these two?
Whoever wins gets banned.
He's one, ban him.
I can't ban